Shana Tova Chavrim. Happy New Year to all of you, my friends out there that are watching, that are celebrating the Rosh Hashanah, the New Year, the Jewish New Year. I still kind of believe myself, I lean more towards the Nisan 1, as God told Moses that would be the head of the New Year. But I know here we are at the Feast of Trumpets. It began yesterday as far as the Feast of Trumpets goes. And of course, Rosh Hashanah, we are already in the second day of that particular time frame. As we move through the Feast of Trumpets, of course, we'll be getting into Yom Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, and on the 10th day of the month, not in our Gregorian calendar, but in the Hebrew calendar, we will be at Yom Kippur. We are going to be, though, just as a reminder, before we get started here, we are going to be there at Hunters Point Celebration Center in Lebanon, Tennessee on this Friday, this coming Friday. Conference there. You want to register. You don't want to miss the conference here. It shows you right here. I'll be speaking at 7 p.m. that Friday night, and then of course the doors will open at 9 a.m. on Shabbat, on the Sabbath day, on Saturday. And first meeting is at 10, then 2, then 7 p.m. So we have a lot of information to share with you guys during this event here, and I know you definitely will be blessed for the time that we're going to spend together while we're there in Lebanon, Tennessee. And especially those of you that are out on the east part of the coast, you've got the hurricane barreling down your way. Florence is not looking like a very happy camper of a hurricane. You guys are going to need somewhere to go. The conference is free. Come on over. Register. If you have trouble finding the website, which is hpccenter.com, just go to israelinewslive.org. Look there on the right-hand side of our website there. Scroll down. You'll find the conference there at Hunters Point. And then, of course, we'll be in Kansas on December the 2nd. Conference out in Kansas there. All you have to do with the conference in Kansas on our website there, find it, leave us a comment that you're wanting to come. We are looking at possibly doing a registration fee on the Kansas conference, because the thing is right now we're scheduled for 500 people at this conference, but we can have that building size reduced. And so as people sign up for it, we want to think about that. Anyway, don't want to spend too much more time on this. Again, hpccenter.com. That's H as in Henry, P as in Paul, C as in Charlie, then the word center.com. It'll tell you right there on their front page of their site there how you can register for this conference. I'm really sure you want to be there. Very interesting information we're going to be sharing with you guys there. Let's get right into things going on, because, friends, they are shutting down Syrian media where you cannot find out what's going on. They're making sure you're going to only get, guess what, the propaganda. It's only going to be Western media permitted to speak on what's happening inside of Syria. Well, we have a little advantage on that. We can tell you what's coming out of Syria, whether or not the West wants to ban these other sites or not. Let's get started. Sputnik, the Arabic channel on Sputnik right here, they are showing what's happening on the ground. We're going to be talking about it because the Sana News, which is being banned right now, was trying to report what was going on, but there were rocket launchers in this area right here. And of course, the Russian and Syrian Air Forces swooped down, dropped some bombs in there, and took care of business to make sure that these rocket launchers could no longer pose a threat for the Syrian soldiers there on the ground. Just to kind of give you a little bit of a view of what's happening there on the ground, the bombing does continue as the Syrian and Russian forces are softening up the targets as they begin to do the ground advance in there. There is still a lot of issues with that. The Turkish government also has been rolling in their own convoys of military equipment. Some are saying they're headed towards the front lines. And we're also seeing news coming out that the White Helmets have already begun filming their their staged chemical attacks there. This is what you find out on Sana News right now. Not found. Maybe some of their articles do appear. But on this one particular article that I wanted to share with you, apologies, but the page you requested could not be found. Perhaps searching will help. All right, let me show you what is actually there. This is the very article right here. It's in Russian, in the Russian language right here. They're talking about what was going on 2 days ago, which is actually the video footage we saw is part of what was happening there. The Google translation of this: Syrian army units attacked the positions of the terrorists who were hiding in the outskirts of the village of Kalat al-Madik, eliminating and wounding all the militants who were there. The military spokesman of the Sana news agency in Hama province said, adding that among the identified terrorists, Mohammed Zayed al-Abdallah. The servicemen conducted an effective counter-terrorist operation in the settlement of Al-Lamatna, located 35 kilometers from the city of Kama, destroying and injuring many of them. The mortars and rocket launchers of terrorists were also smashed, from which they fired at neighboring areas. So I kind of like it, because even though they block the page to where you can't see what's really going on, we have a little back door into that. So we can still get a little bird's eye view. As I mentioned also, RT is reporting filming of the staged chemical attack in Syria, Idlib, has begun. They're showing this here. Of course, that's a file photo there. That's not the actual filming of it. But it says footage meant to serve as proof that the Syrian government has conducted a chemical weapons attack in Idlib, Syria, is to be handed to global news outlets by the end of Tuesday, the Russian military claims. You know, seeing as RT put this out, you know they're not going to do it. It's not going to be handed to them as of yet. You can't put this type of news out there and foil the plot and expect that the Western allies are going to produce this type of material only to make sure that they have to backtrack. Several Middle East TV channels and the U.S. News Channel have been sent a Jirsh al-Shakhur in Syria Idlib governorate to produce the footage needed for the provocation. A statement by the Russian Center of Syrian Reconciliation said it added the intelligence came from local residents of Jisr al-Shakhur. All the footage and the staged provocation in, of course, that area there is to be delivered to the newsrooms of TV channels, which are to broadcast it after its publication on social media, the statement claimed. It also said that an Islamist group was provided with 2 canisters of chlorine-based chemical for the purpose of the operation. The Russian military said footage would include scenes of white helmet operatives treating supposed victims of an apparent barrel bomb chemical weapon attack by Damascus. I wonder are they going by American time or Western time or Eastern time? Not really sure. But I'll be curious to see if that actually pops up. We monitor pretty close, so we'll have to see how that goes. You know, speaking of this sarin gas, this channel here, Feast of Trumpets, they had actually loaded one of our videos called Sarin Gas Attack in Syria. Sometimes I have a hard time finding the videos that I do on things once I've done it because I forget how I named it. But this is the video that I did about exonerating the Syrian government from these chemical attacks. That is really the video that will show you the evidence. So if you click on this video here, Sarin Gas Attack, and you watch this, this one was probably the most damaging, because in this video here, we can see the means that they go about it. It was really a very well thought out report that we did there. And I think I was in Europe at the time when we actually broadcast this. So I'll put their website in the link below, Feast of Trumpet's blog spot, or you can look it up maybe on our own channel, Sarin Gas Attack in Syria. I guess that was the actual name of my video that I did on this. But, you know, thank you, Feast of Trumpets, for putting that out there, because, you know, I was looking for that video the other day and I couldn't remember how I titled the video. So I couldn't find it. I wanted to share some excerpts with you guys on that, where and specifically and particularly because at the beginning of the video, the way this thing shows it on there, let me kind of refresh that page there. Was, yeah, right there on the very front of the page there. If you look right here, these are the either al-Nusra or Al-Qaeda militants there. They were training using this particular system here to launch these canisters that are full of either sarin or chlorine gas, and they were being launched on the individual places there. But it also, in one of the articles there, I show you where the United States military had developed that system and then taught it in the country of Jordan to these terrorist groups that are battling in the area. By the way, you know, we do want to just also remember 9/11, the victims of 9/11, and I really and sincerely, as we're looking at today being September the 11th, this has been a tragedy on American soil. The victims of 9/11. I know there's a lot of information out there, but you know what really concerns me the most about 9/11? We've been lied to so much by our government. And think about it. Think of the irony of this. The U.S. government blames Al-Qaeda militants and bin Laden for the attack on the Twin Towers. Even Donald Trump, years ago, when they asked him about it, he couldn't believe that planes did it. He said it had to have been a bomb. Had to have been a bomb in there as well. Interesting, isn't it? I bet he won't say that today, but he did say it years ago. What troubles me, though, is that our tax-paying dollars are still supporting Al-Qaeda to try to topple Bashar al-Assad in Syria. The Israeli government has provided medical aid, surgeries to the Al-Qaeda militants, and weapons, according to the IDF that was published on Jerusalem Post, which later the Israeli government made them remove that. But we have given them weapons, small arms, as well as cash to buy more weapons with. Al-Qaeda. And yet Al-Qaeda is the one that we blame for destroying the Twin Towers on 9/11. I just think that that's really troubling. And it's a dishonor to all the Americans that lost their lives in 9/11. It's a dishonor to the victims and to their families that our government would still back the very terrorist organization that our government claims took down the Twin Towers. And I already know, you don't have to tell me, I already know all the different, as they call them, conspiracy theories. I highly question if they're really conspiracies. Probably a lot more truth to them. Won't go into that at this particular time, but very troubling indeed. Moving along here, Heather Nauert is for the State Department, speaks about how that ISIS is going to be, that the Free Syrian Army is going to confront the ISIS militants in eastern Syria. I think that's kind of interesting, the timing of her statement here for the United States Department there, because of the mere fact that the Syrian government recently said that they would actually begin taking them out as well. But the U.S. does not want neither Syria nor Iraq, who has been trying to help the Syrian government, to do this. I actually sent a message to the State Department on this, and I said, why don't we partner with Syria and help take out ISIS? You know, if America is so worried about Russia being there, why don't we partner with ISIS then? Excuse me, I shouldn't say, forgive me on that. Partner with Syria. Yeah, we already partnered with ISIS, I'm sure. But instead of partnering with ISIS, we should partner with Syria to take out these militants. But what can you expect? I mean, after all, we fund Al-Qaeda. And John Kerry said, when ISIS was gaining so much headway, well, we just wanted to sit back and see if they could do it. It's really nuts how the U.S. government thinks when it comes to the situations that are happening in the Middle East. But when it comes down to the end of the day, like I said, we're talking about the China Silk Road that is being reestablished, including the oil and gas pipelines, and the U.S. is going to control it one way or the other, or they're going to fight with everything they got in order to make sure they can and not allow Russia, nor Syria, nor Iran, nor China, or anybody else control this. And you don't have to worry about it. The U.S. is not going to attack China because that new economic powerhouse of the Silk Road is a major of importance to the United States economy of the future as well. So no, they're not going to interfere with that. We'll just quickly listen to Heather about this.
Announced the start of an operation to eliminate ISIS territory in eastern Syria, a very different kind of topic. Today, the Department of Defense announced the Syrian Democratic Forces, with support from the de-ISIS Global Coalition, launched the final phase of Operation Roundup to eliminate ISIS's hold on territory in eastern Syria. We welcome this initiative as we continue to support our SDF partners.
Now, I'm a little concerned about this. They talk about they've launched this to eliminate the ISIS terrorists in this region, but they've been giving them safe haven. In fact, ISIS militants have requested to go to the Al-Tanf region because it is safer for them to be there. Maybe what's really going on is that the Syrian military is being targeted instead of the ISIS militants. Maybe this is why we get situations like this right here on Syrian media, as well as all their YouTube channels are shut down right now. Maybe we are actually attacking Syrian military, but yet we're being told that we are beginning the operation against ISIS in eastern Syria. Isn't it kind of awkward that we would say this publicly, at the same time we silence Syrian state-run media? Bit troubling, if you ask me. Also, and you guys are already, many of you are already well aware of this right here. I'll turn the volume down a little bit because I know it's very loud in this video here. Russia's 2018 drills involving the entire Russian military, Air Force, ground troops, everything, naval, you name it, 300,000 soldiers. China involved in this as well. Over 1,000 aircraft involved, and with tanks and armored vehicles, etc. I think they listed 36,000 tanks and military pieces of equipment that are being used in that as well. And this drill, even though we know that the drill was also in the Mediterranean, Russia said they will not move those ships. Listen, I've got to get over here. We're going to stop this video here in just a moment. I need to get over there on Patreon. I need to share with you guys some very important information that I said that I would. And it'd only be probably about a 5-minute video, but I need to go over there and do that. Those of you that want to join over there with us, it's actually a good way if you like to support this ministry as well. Patreon.com/Israeli News Live. That's Patreon.com. Patreon.com/Israeli News Live. So hey, you know, I don't want you to feel awkward about it when we do a video over there that we don't do here. You know, it's a good way to support the work we're doing. So hey, you can pledge as little as $1 a month. So it's not like it's a whole lot of money to begin with, and it does help us. Every little bit helps, and we greatly appreciate those patrons that are able to be a part of that with us. We'd like to see a lot more people over there because there's some really good information we're sharing there, but it's such a small audience that listens to it, and I know it really would bless many of you. We're going to talk about some of those things tonight. And don't forget, Tennessee, Lebanon, Tennessee, that's on the eastern side of Nashville. One of the suburbs way out to the far east of Nashville there. We will be there 14th and 15th this coming weekend in Lebanon, Tennessee. HPC Center is the actual website, and that is Hunters Point Celebration Center that is hosting this event for us. It will be speaking there. There is limited seating, and I think we've probably got about 60, 70 seats left, something like that. Well, that was as of last week, so it may be down to about 50 or so by now. You definitely want to get in there and register for the conference. This is not the brother and sister there that are with this congregation. This is not to get your personal information. We requested that we know who's coming to this event because we're sharing very sensitive information on Saturday, and I need to know who's actually going to be there. So it's very important to us that for the safety of my own family that we are aware of who comes, and so this is the reason why there is a registration for this event. We will be filing an affidavit with federal jurisdiction on the information that I am fully aware of that is also part of the things that I'm speaking about as well. And this way here, the federal authorities will be able to make the decision of which way they would like to go with the information that I am aware of. I do know that local authorities have considered reopening the case, at least one of the cases of the three that I am aware of, and are also wanting to talk to other authorities in the other cases as well, but that's something that they are working on and behind the scenes there that maybe will solve some of these 30-year-old cases for them. But anyway, we'll be sharing that. We'll be sharing things that we know all the way down from my early time in the intelligence community, contacts with the Mossad going forward, even with those in the Secret Service, United Nations, and of course the evangelical community, and how all this is leading to a new world order. And some special insights that I'll share with you that you need to know about what could be coming to the United States. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. I hope you've enjoyed this broadcast today. Shana Tova, Happy New Year, and our condolences to the families of those that have lost loved ones in 9/11. A very tragic time of year and a very tragic time of memory for them. A good friend of ours was a first responder there, and so we know it was very much a tragedy there. And a lot of the first responders as well have suffered tremendously and adverse health effects as a result of that. And so we also want to remember those first responders, those that died in helping, as well as those that have survived but are also suffering some very adverse effects of what happened that fateful day on September the 11th. I'm Stephen Ben-Nun. You're watching Israeli News Live. Erev Tov.